We are the franchise owners in this Commonwealth, the people. And that's why you have the angst that we have here today, because it was not the legislature that created these things. The judicial branch overstepped their authority and created these things out of thin air. And in doing so, they did it without any thought. Find anything in their ruling that gives any thought to how these things would be implemented. You cannot find it. And that is why the legislature is supposed to be able to debate these things, hold hearings on these things. If we're going to establish drop boxes, that's the way it should have been. The judicial branch overstepped their authority, and unfortunately, the executive branch is complicit in allowing it to happen through the Department of State. I ask for an affirmative vote.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I do need to respond to a couple of things. First of all, a republic is an indirect democracy. We are a democracy. Point number one. Point number two, this allegation of voter fraud has been proved time and time again to be untrue. And in fact, the vote-by-mail system that we have had in this Commonwealth now for 6.5 years has worked remarkably well. And I give the county boards of elections in every county, or 67 counties of this state, a tremendous amount of credit for the work that they have done to make sure that system has worked and to make sure that people were not disenfranchised. And there is not proof that there is widespread voter fraud. There never has been. Every time that issue has come in front of this General Assembly, and I can remember it back when I was in the House and as well as now being in the State Senate, it's just been not true, made up out of whole cloth. And it is time that we get past that and we focus instead on making sure that the people of this Commonwealth have access to the ballot box, because that is fundamental to our democracy.
The question is, were the ballots cast legally? And there is no question with those 1,000 ballots in Lehigh County that they were not. And because they were not counted, they were not legal ballots in the way that they were delivered. They're not lawful, and they were counted anyway. That is the problem. And as far as additional voter fraud, there has been, I mean, we've got convictions here in the Commonwealth and over the last several years. And because our Commonwealth is so vast, there are different things going on. And I'll echo your comments on one thing. I will give hands down, God bless our election officials in our counties. They are struggling to do their best. However, when the judicial branch oversteps its authority and these things are created without any discussion in public, there's a significant problem with that. And that's why we need to go back and make sure that if it's even the establishment of them, whether or not we were to have them or not, that's a legislative function. It is not a judicial function. It is not the judiciary's role to come in and say, this is how we're going to run elections or any other operation of government. And going back to democracy or republic, Max Ferrand, a historian back in the early 1900s, 4 volumes. You ought to read it. It goes from day one of the Constitutional Convention to the end. There are only 6 or 8 references to democracy, and it was always with terms like mobocracy. It was never intended to be a democracy. It was strictly to be a republic.